You are about to sustain a fatal snake bite. Escaping, hiding, or surviving is entirely off the table right now. The only leverage you have left is choosing exactly how your body shuts down. People usually assume lethal venom does a single uniform thing. You get bit, you fall over, the lights go out. The reality of the biological breakdown is much more specific. Venom profiles are distinctly categorized. You are choosing between neurotoxic compounds on one side and hemotoxic or cytotoxic compounds on the other. This comparison matrix maps your two main options. On the left, neurotoxins specifically target your nervous system. On the right, hemotoxins attack your cardiovascular system. Practically, it's a choice between silent, progressive paralysis or active, agonizing physical destruction. You are weighing these biological trade-offs to find the exit strategy fitting your operational needs. Let's look at the premium option for what we'll call the administrator. This is the coral snake. When it strikes, you barely register it. There is zero pain or burning. It mimics a harmless, minor scratch. Then, absolutely nothing happens. The venom infiltrates your bloodstream, but you get a massive 12-hour window where you remain perfectly functional with zero symptoms. Once that latency period ends, the cascade starts at the top. Your eyelids get heavy. Then your facial muscles systematically quit working, making smiling or even swallowing your own saliva incredibly difficult. The paralysis travels downward. Your arms get heavy until they drop. Your legs give out completely. You end up trapped on the floor, fully conscious, inside a shell that no longer responds to your commands. The final sequence hits your chest muscles. Because your brain stays online the entire time, you experience a slow, fully aware suffocation. The operational advantage here is clear. You get 12 hours of total clarity to cancel subscriptions, reallocate funds, and delete your digital history. There is a massive flaw in this strategy. Giving someone a 12-hour head start practically guarantees they end up in a hospital. If your goal is a clean exit, the coral snake usually fails. If you prefer a kinetic approach, you have to look at the larger, heavier vipers. This is the hemotoxic and cytotoxic class. It is strictly for those willing to trade physical comfort for a highly observable, sensory-rich physical breakdown. Take the Russell's viper. Within 5 minutes of the bite, the injection site puffs up and turns a deep red. Tiny blood vessels burst under the skin, creating massive purple bruises as the venom triggers internal bleeding. Your blood forgets how to clot. You start bleeding from your gums, eyes, and belly button, eventually throwing up fluids that look exactly like coffee grounds. The gaboon viper takes this tissue destruction even further, using specific cytotoxic enzymes. Your bitten limb swells to grotesque proportions. The skin slowly turns a terrifying deep black as the venom cuts off blood flow and starves the tissue of oxygen. The pain is severe. Your flesh literally dissolves from the inside out while you are fully awake. It is comparable to submerging your hand in a bucket of molten lava. As your blood vessels leak internally, your heart begins violently pounding, overworking itself in a desperate, failing effort to maintain blood pressure. These vipers deliver an undeniable sensory overload. The problem is that the physical collapse drags on piece by piece, making it a highly inefficient method for a clean exit. The absolute peak of this experiential tier is the saw-scaled viper. Unlike the others, it delivers straight physical agony the exact second its fangs break your skin. Moving the bitten limb immediately doubles the pain. You bleed from every orifice in your face, while the venom destroys tissue until a blood vessel bursts in your brain, triggering a catastrophic cerebral hemorrhage. If you want to strip away the theatrics and focus purely on lethal efficacy, you need the optimizer profile. This brings us to the King Cobra. It provides a swift and undeniable shutdown of your entire biological system. It requires only 1.5 milligrams of venom to be fatal. A King Cobra injects roughly 500 milligrams in a single strike. There is no swelling. The initial bite is almost painless. You wait a brief 15 minutes, and then your motor functions simply evaporate. You go completely mute. Your arms and legs stop holding you up. Within 30 minutes, your chest muscles quit entirely, and you suffocate to the point of cardiac arrest. It is the perfect biological execution. It is fast, highly effective, and leaves virtually zero time for medical intervention. When you lay out the data from all 5 of these snakes side by side, a very clear paradox emerges. This is a quadrant chart plotting the lethality curve. We are looking at the probability of survival on the vertical axis, mapped against the level of physical agony on the horizontal axis. The vipers that cause massive bleeding and rotting flesh actually sit in the high survivability quadrant. That extreme physical trauma immediately forces you to seek life-saving medical health. The neurotoxic options have a much higher lethality rate, precisely because their lack of initial pain creates a false sense of security, delaying medical intervention until it is too late. If you fit the administrator profile, you must reject the coral snake. A 12-hour latency period is a massive operational liability that gives you too much time to be rescued. If you are an experientialist, you should only select the heavy vipers if you are perfectly fine with experiencing absolute agony while risking a high chance of surviving the ordeal. For the optimizer, the data points to exactly one path. The King Cobra remains the only statistically sound option for a guaranteed, unstoppable systemic failure. Your decision needs to be finalized right now. Whichever option you lock in, the biological consequences are completely unavoidable. In this specific biological economy, you get exactly what you pay for. You just have to decide if you are paying with agonizing physical destruction or terrifying, silent paralysis.